Good Thursday late morning. This is the forecast for Thursday and beyond. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights. Looking at the big picture right now, and of course we have an area of low pressure that's a pretty strong one going off the coast, well off the coast. We have a frontal boundary that has moved through since the overnight. It's dropped a few hundredths of an inch of precipitation, pretty much as forecast. A lot of that has dried up. There has been a few misty sprinkles around, but most of this is in the process of drying up, and eventually we will see an increase in a little bit of sunshine. Here you're looking at the total amount of precipitation, and this total precipitation generally a little heftier along the western slopes of the northern greens, generally kind of par for the course, not a whole lot of wetting, and of course we've had a very dry period. So today being the 24th of October, you can see not a whole lot in the way of precipitation. Barely any precipitation this month. It's only totaled up to 1.18 inches. No snowfall measured, and normal precipitation about 3.87. We've only had about 30% of normal here by the time we've hit the 24th. But you can see we did pick up 0.04 of an inch at the Barry-Montpelier EF Knapp Airport. And overall, you can see here, yes, we're well above normal at about 3.1 degrees above normal. Those departures will start to come down just a little bit with an influx of colder air as of this morning. And this is the 300 millibar or hectopascal jet stream winds. A little trough, leftover trough here. Winds generally exiting the region stronger to our east. And kind of a west-northwesterly zonal flow. This generally is a very dry pattern and also an increasingly warmer pattern eventually. And we are going to warm things up as we head toward the middle part of next week. This is at 300 millibars. We're going down to 500 millibars, about 18,000 feet. Best lifting mechanisms, upper level vorticity, positive vorticity, and you can see that the best lifting mechanisms are up to the north of us. The next slice will take you to 700 hectopascal. That's about 10,000 feet, and the highest relative humidities are generally to the east of us ahead of this trough. Next panel will go to the lifting mechanisms at about 850 hectopascal. Also, temperatures just cold enough for a little bit of wet snowflake action, but just barely getting into Vermont. Lifting mechanisms pretty much washed out with that frontal system. And looking at the 925, we see a kind of a ridge of higher pressure, colder air working in, and of course colder air at 925. This is about base lodge level of the Green Mountains ski resorts, and we're seeing 0 degrees, 32 degrees, minus 2 degrees Celsius, little package of colder air, but nope. Not a whole lot of colder air, at least in the elevated terrain, just a little bit above your heads. However, we have been seeing, again, freezing temperatures out west. It's been a cold morning where some of that colder air has nestled in some of the valleys and some of the reporting stations. Same thing a little to the north and west of Vermont, and so on and so forth. This is the European model snow depth change. So we're going to see a little bit of whitening of the Green Mountains here with some of the readings here. This is going to come once we get into this coming weekend. And so along about, we're into Friday right now. And we continue to run that into Saturday. We start to see a little bit of colder air aloft and some unsettled conditions. Just a little bit of scanty precipitation. It's pretty minimal what we're seeing here. But enough to dust up some of the mountaintops. This will be valid basically on Saturday night. And then during the day on Sunday, we'll start to see another little batch work on in, mostly in the afternoon and into the early evening hours. This is basically for Sunday evening. And so a little bit of snow that'll have fallen, mainly in our mountain levels. Not a whole lot to show for it. So for my forecast, a little bit of patchy, misty drizzle leftovers near the mountains for a time. And we should see some intervals of sun come in as you get away from the mountains, as things begin to retreat. The cloud cover hanging tough, though, along the western and northern slopes of the greens. Highs today around the mid-50s, north to northwest winds 10 miles per hour, so winds coming down. Mostly clear tonight, a frosty low down to around 30 or so on average, light northwest winds. And a light west wind during the day tomorrow will bring mostly sunny skies as an area of higher pressure will build in. A bit of a kind of seasonable day in terms of temperatures, about 55 degrees for a daytime high. And once we get into this weekend, it looks like it's a little bit more unsettled, but we're talking about minimal amounts of precip and again a little bit of colder snow levels coming down into the mountaintops and whatnot for basically Saturday into Sunday. Once we get into Monday, we're back into another area of higher pressure with a lot of blue skies, and we'll start out with a hard freeze Temperatures will be basically ranging through the 20s, and daytime highs only rebound to about 40 to 45, but that starts a warming trend as we head into the middle of next week. We might even see temperatures head back towards 70 degrees. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights.